Hello and welcome to Round 5 here at Grand Prix Pittsburgh. Maria Bartholdi in the booth, joined by Andrew Brown. There on the left side of your screen is Pro Tour champion Wyatt Darby. And Alyssa Bishop, also undefeated here in round number 5. And we've got a sweet brew from Alyssa.
Yeah, it's I can definitely tell you that it's a mid-range deck. Let me just kind of...
Just give us some of the hits here,
I'll just give you
Andrew.
some of the hits. Sunbird's Invocation.
Okay, great. I love
Approach of the Second Sun.
What?
Huatli, Warrior Poet.
Okay.
Gideon of the Trials.
Yeah.
My favorite, though, is the one of Etali Primal Storm.
No way.
Yes way.
Okay, well, let's see what she's got going on here. We've got Kenra dealt with early on. Wyatt Darby, of course, packing what he won the Pro Tour with.
Yeah, not the most inspired move from Darby.
Savage.
While I always condone running it back, so just almost the same thing. Come on. You're the Pro Tour champion. You got to show some range.
How about you just try and win a Grand Prix? What about that?
Yeah, you got to get one of those under your belt, I guess, but no. And I am joking, but yeah, Wyatt playing a very similar deck to what he did last time. And wow, just...
Wow, lightning strike to the face.
Yeah, kapow.
I like it. All right, so Bomat Courier chipping in for some damage here from Wyatt Darby. Back over to Bishop. Red-White Huatli is what we are calling the deck. And there's a veteran motorist of all things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming this is in the deck to just kind of, smooth her draws earlier on so she can, find lands to play her powerful, expensive cards.
It's going to get shocked, however, sent to the graveyard. Courier attacks in again. Did we talk about this card in her deck? Jeru with Eyes Open.
Yeah, so Jeru with Eyes Open, a card from Hour of Devastation, originally made to tutor Planeswalkers, and then... Because, in the story, Jeru is he's normally all about the,
the trials.
The trials, and he's for the God Pharaoh, but then, after everything goes south or hits the fan, he realizes. He realizes, and his eyes are open.
Oh, that's cool. I don't, I'd never even played with this in Limited because it wasn't the greatest rare that you could open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sweltering Suns here takes down the Phoenix. And the Bomat Courier.
Yeah, but a little... The egg is going to be a little bit of a problem here.
All right, so the Rekindling Phoenix cracking in for 4. Bishop stuck on lands by the looks of it.
Yeah, she's really going to need to draw either... or just have a Lyra Dawnbringer or a Settle the Wreckage, because it doesn't look like too many of her cards actually deal with a Phoenix. But luckily, post-board, she has cards like Gideon's Intervention, Ixalan's Binding, and more Lyra Dawnbringers to deal with the Phoenix.
Her Heart of Kirin here met with an Abrade on-crop Crasher crashing in along with the Rekindling Phoenix. From Darby, knocks her life down to 3. And she's going to have to scoop him up. Wyatt Darby, mono-red aggro, taking down game 1 here versus Alyssa Bishop. Bit of a tongue twister there.
Yeah, the Alyssa being stuck on 3 mana wasn't the best for her deck, given how she has so many expensive spells, and that was unfortunate. But
right.
Wyatt also had a pretty strong draw, going Bomat Courier into the Phoenix and then still having on-crop Crasher after the Sweltering Suns is it's pretty nice.
And you can see Wyatt kind of what should I do here for my sideboard?
Well, if we look at his sideboard, he has Fight with Fire, Chandra, Aether Sphere Harvester, Glorybringer, and Chandra's Defeat. And those are all 3 ofs. Very inspired 3x5.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm assuming he'll probably bring in the Fight with Fires, assuming that Alyssa has more Lyra Dawnbringers post-board.
Wyatt Darby running it back here with this mono-red aggro deck. And now, if you had to be in the camp of the black-red version or Wyatt's version, which one would you prefer?
Is this me knowing all the data me or me being on the outside me?
This is you coming to this tournament, you.
Oh, me coming.
I mean, you're playing, probably Teferi if you're coming here, but...
Not necessarily. Do you think
Oh.
that's the only? Is that the only thing in my range?
I mean, you were just speaking so lovingly about the card before.
Yeah. Actually, if I were to come to this tournament, I would actually play Blue-White Godpharaoh's Gift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've played with it and against it on Magic Online a bunch, and just like as much like people have started shaving on Abrades in their main deck, so it's like I think it's a really good time for the Godpharaoh's Gift to bring back some hasty 6/6 lifelink angels.
It was really interesting at the Pro Tour. Godpharaoh's Gift was nowhere to be seen.
Yes. Don't exactly know why that was.
Yeah, I
Maybe it
know,
was
it's
because
kinda
of all
weird.
the Abrades.
I guess. But I mean, it had persisted before those cards, it had lived with a braid happily before,
Yeah.
especially the blue-red version.
True, that's true. One reason that Pro Tour players might not elect to play Godpharaoh's Gift is just that it's kind of an inconsistent deck, and the Pro Tour is such a grueling 10-round standard tournament
Sure.
that maybe they want to minimize the chances of just losing to yourself.
Right.
Yeah. But sometimes you actually do want to take those risks where, like, you want to just surprise your opponents. Because, like, at the Pro Tour, the margins are so thin. Everybody is so strong at playing Magic that you just really want to find whatever you can to get a leg up on them.
All right, so let's say that you have been forced to play a red deck. Are you going to play mono red or are you going to play black red?
I think I would play mono red with just, like, the bigger sideboard plan. Maybe put some mountains in my sideboard, just 4 Glorybringers, 4 Chandras, just really be able to change it up and keep people, like, surprised, essentially.
Wyatt Darby, very collected, very calm in the face of high-pressure tournaments. We saw him at the Pro Tour. It looked like he was barely even breaking a sweat.
Yeah. He's he's now a veteran, and he's been here in the feature match before, and I doubt he'll miss any Ravagan triggers.
Alyssa from Ohio, she's been playing for about 5 years, enjoys competing. She makes it out to about 6 or 7 Grand Prix each year.
Yeah, this her deck looks really cool. Like, I love Sunbird's Invocation and Approach of the Second Sun, just like these awesome haymaker cards that if you can cast them, they're going to win you the game most of the time.
Yeah, just play some big good stuff. Combustible Gear Hulk, let's see it.
Yeah. But like loosely touching on her sideboard, I'm sure she'll bring in Lyra Dawnbringer, Ixalan's Binding, History of Benalia, maybe Gideon's Intervention. It's a possibility.
What is she going to get with Gideon's Intervention?
She could name Glorybringer, Rekindling Phoenix. Just a lot of these red haymakers can be stopped by Gideon's Intervention.
Do you have a pet card from Dominaria?
Do I have a pet card from Dominaria? Yeah, actually, one of my favorite cards is Naban, Dean of Symmetry.
Dean of Iteration.
Dean of Iteration, sorry. Its name was Dean of Symmetry for so long.
I know.
But it's a 2/1, which doesn't make sense.
It's not very symmetrical.
It's not very symmetrical, yeah. Yeah, I really liked playing with this card, and actually my favorite wizard in the format is Silvergill Adept. It's a Merfolk wizard.
You're right, it is. I forgot about that. All right, so we had a mulligan there for Alyssa Bishop, but we are underway. Gosh, it is a wizard.
Yeah.
All right, no play here yet on turn 2 for Red-White Huatli. Kari Zeb, though, in play now for Wyatt Darby. It's going to get taken down there.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of start Alyssa wants. She just wants to, like, play
Here
powerful
we
cards
go.
like Gideon and remove Darby's threats.
So how good is Gideon in this matchup?
It really depends because, Wyatt has a lot of, like, haste creatures, but if, she goes straight for the emblem, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Gideon on turn 3, not the greatest, but, like, Gideon once a Hazoret has resolved, that's very
Right.
powerful.
Is it dangerous here to leave the Gideon at 3?
Yeah, it opens it up to On-Crop Crasher, but Wyatt did not have it there.
The Kenner's going to get in to knock Gideon down to 1. Skullscar Mage, the follow-up play. All right, so looks like we've got more mana already to work with yet in this game for Bishop.
Yeah, this is exactly what she wants. And if she passes here after plussing Gideon, it opens up a ton of possibilities like Lightning Strike, Settle the Wreckage, to really put Darby in a bind, whether he should actually send everything at Gideon or just at Alyssa.
All right, so plus here on the Earthshaker Kenra. Prevent the damage from it till the next turn. And there's our veteran motorist. By the way, are there any vehicles in this deck that this motorist can drive?
Yes, there is 2 Heart of Kieran's.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We saw one.
But we have a lot of other skilled pilots, such as Gideon, Huatli Warrior Poet, Chandra Torch of Defiance.
Oh, yeah.
They're all very skilled at operating vehicles.
Goblin Chain Whirler, though. Ooh. Down goes the veteran motorist.
Yep, that is one reason not to play veteran motorist, as Goblin Chain Whirler is one of the staples of the format.
Gideon now hits the bin. And here's a Sweltering Suns.
Wow.
Well, that's pretty good.
That was a very powerful Sweltering Suns right there.
Sweeps all of Darby's board. And there's a Phoenix. He passed the turn back.
Oh, I saw a bunch more Phoenixes in Darby's hand. If she has Ixalan's Binding here, this is going to be a blowout. Yeah, I think I saw 2 other Phoenixes in Wyatt's hand.
Oh, my gosh. Well, here's a Karn.
Definitely not the worst. Like, Karn has such high loyalty that he often just uses his face as protection.
You know, like if you ever get in a fight, just use your face as protection.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a metal face, so it's probably pretty okay. All right, we're going to plus the Karn here up to 6. Puts a land in hand, a land under Karn. The Rekindling Phoenix attacking Karn here, actually. And here's Phoenix number 2, which is kind of interesting because at the Pro Tour, a lot was made about how Wyatt Darby just went face all the time.
Yeah, watching him play was a real treat. Like, that last game of the finals, he just played that so perfectly. And, like, it really took us an unlikely series of events, but it was really awesome to watch.
There's a photo of the news desk crew watching that game, and the moment when the Glorybringer comes off the top,
oh geez,
we're just like mouth open, like what?
I mean, my mouth was open too.
Yeah, it was just like wild. All right, Authority of the Consuls here was one of the reveals and is going into Alyssa's hand, getting of the Trials under Karn.
Yeah, if she plays the Authority of the Councils and represents Settle the Wreckage, I think that puts her in a pretty good spot here. Because I did see a Hazaret in Wyatt's hand.
All right, Authority of the Consuls on the table for Alyssa.
Ooh.
How about my own Glorybringer?
Yeah, as you can see, I mean, Alyssa just has tons and tons of powerful cards in her deck.
Just like putting in all the best stuff. Why not?
Yeah.
No attack here, though, from Glorybringer. The Phoenixes come on in. Karn goes down. So Karn saving Alyssa life at the very least.
Yeah, it took a bunch of Phoenix hits. It took 3 Phoenix hits, so it essentially gained her 12 life and drew her 2 cards.
And there is Hazaret the Fervent for Wyatt Darby, coming in tapped thanks to Authority of the Consuls. Alyssa will gain a life off that as well, back up to 20.
Yeah, I see she has a Chandra Torch of Defiance in her hand, so she could actually use that to hit a Phoenix and then exert the Glorybringer to destroy the egg. But that isn't the most efficient use of 2 4-damage burn spells.
All right, here is Chandra. See what she elects to do here.
Yeah, given how we don't know what else is in her hand, if it was a blank, I'm pretty sure I would just go for the Phoenix kill here. Because then Wyatt's kind of priced into using one of his attacks on the Chandra.
All right, so we are going to minus it. Oh, yes.
And
let's gain a life.
Gain a life. The little egg gives us a life.
All right, and here's the exert actually on the other.
Oh, wow. Does
Phoenix.
she have a Sweltering Suns here? Or 2 Phoenixes just coming back tapped?
Okay, well, gaining a couple more life up to 24.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would have been sick.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough mana, though, did we?
No, but it looks like Wyatt has a Goblin Chain Whirler, which should pick off the Chandra here.
And there's the Chain Whirler. Chandra down.
Net neutral on life because of the authority.
Yes. Soulscar Mage entering tapped as well. So, I mean, she's got a lot of life.
Mm-hmm.
Say that.
Yeah, and Wyatt has to tread carefully here because, you know, Settle the Wreckage could possibly just decimate his entire board if he makes an unwise attack.
Karn coming into play here for Alyssa Bishop. How many settles are they only?
She has 2 Settles in her main deck.
Okay.
And I would assume that both of them stay in post board.
All right, so we're going to put a Gideon into hand with this Karn.
Oh, right. And we still have the Gideon emblem in play.
No second white mana to cast Gideon, however, this turn. All right, here's an Ether Sphere Harvester for Darby. Get some energy, and he'll be able to gain some life as well.
And a Prowess trigger.
Ah, yes. So I'm impressed with how high Bishop's been able to keep her life total this game. I must say, from this, like, you see all these creatures on Darby's side of the battlefield, you're like, well, surely she must be at 2.
Yeah, so it looks like 1 Phoenix is coming at Karn, and then the rest of the squad is coming at Alyssa's face.
Pretty big chunk of damage there, down to 11.
Kind of feels like a Settle the Wreckage or bust situation at this moment. But she does still have that Gideon, which prevents her from losing and makes Wyatt split up his damage.
Has this Gideon this Glorybringer as well.
Yeah, the Glorybringer can pick off this Goblin Chain Whirler, but that's probably her best target if she wants to attack with it.
I like how in the trials of Amonkhet, the last trial is facing this Glorybringer. That's what it is. You
really?
Fight this thing. The final trial, yeah. Bishop Soldier?
Right. So Riley's informing us that she needs a Bishop Soldier. Gideon is a soldier, and he belongs to a bishop. I don't get it, but Riley Knight, everybody. Riley Knight on the card viewer. Doing great work.
I mean, I'll take a 2/2 with lifelink in that set in my draft. So this time, Glorybringer was exerted on a Rekindling Phoenix.
And she'll gain another life from the egg entering the battlefield. I finally got your joke, Riley. Her last name is Bishop, and
I see.
Gideon is her soldier. I got it. Thank you.
We finally got there, about 100 years late.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here comes a team from Darby. Splitting up the damage. Phoenix at Gideon. settle represented.
Yeah. And it looks like I think Hazoret actually crewed the Aethersphere Harvester.
Does she have it?
No, I think they're calculating damage. Yeah, not too many cards that can get her out of this situation. Guess maybe just settle the wreckage is kind of her big out here.
Down to 6 life. There is a Glorybringer, and I believe that was the last card in hand.
Yep. Yeah, no, if this game broke out a little differently, like these 2 Glorybringers could have actually put a decent amount of pressure on Darby to actually, like, maybe hold back some creatures.
But that will do it. Wyatt Darby taking down this match 2-0 versus the pretty cool white-red Huatli deck from Alyssa Bishop. Congratulations to Wyatt, starting out 5-0 here at this Grand Prix after just taking down the whole show at the Pro Tour.
Yeah, he's 5-0 and he won his last 3. So he's on a pretty good streak right now, 8 in a row or something like that.
All right, sounds like we're going to get a chance to talk to Wyatt too about his deck, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Running the same thing back from the Pro Tour. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's 1 or 2 tweaks in here. We'll have to find out. Not sure.
Hopefully he put in some effort.
Andrew really wants to make sure people are bringing the innovation week to week. Keep that in mind if you find yourself at a Grand Prix in the future. But what do you think about somebody who, like Alyssa, who's bringing in kind of this crazy brew? Is there an edge to be gained from people who are completely just not expecting this?
Oh, of course. Like, especially in like today's metagame where everybody can kind of predict almost every card that you're going to play in your deck. So if you bring out something like Approach of the Second Sun with Sunbird's Invocation, you know, people are so used to just playing against Chain Whirler, Teferi. They're not going to be able to know how to use their cards properly, perhaps, if we're at a wide field like a Grand Prix.
And sideboarding becomes a little difficult as well if you don't know exactly what your opponent is up to.
Exactly.
All right, well, Wyatt Darby is down in the feature match area. Congratulations on the win, Wyatt.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Got Maria and Andrew here hanging out with you in the booth. I want to know, are you packing the same 75 that you brought to the Pro Tour?
I decided to change maybe 2 or 3 cards. I figured that, you know, any more than that, I'm a very lazy guy, honestly. So any more than that, it would have just been too much. But yeah, you know, 1 or 2 cards. Keep it fresh a little bit, you know, just play another Bomat, maybe change the sideboard. But yeah, Red's treated me so well so far, I couldn't ask for anything more, and I thought I'd keep the heater going.
So is this deck just kind of the style of deck you like to play normally, or did you decide, you know what, this is the best deck? I mean, it was at the Pro Tour, it still is now.
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of someone who prides myself in being able to play anything if I think it's good. But with Red, I just think pound for pound, you probably just have cards that are the best in the format, you know, across anything you could play. The fact that they're all in one color is awesome, you know, makes registering very easy with just 24 basic mountains. But yeah, I think Red's great, and it'll probably continue to be great unless something crazy happens.
So what do you think are the advantages that Red has over, let's say, like the Red-Black versions or like the Red-Black mid-range versions?
Yeah, the big one's consistency. You know, it's a deck that at its core is a curve-out deck. You know, you just want to play a creature, you know, 1 through 5, maybe with a bit of interaction, and never having any tap lands is just so incredible in executing that game plan consistently. And I found that is really what I want. When the cards are so good, you know, adding a little bit of extra power with like Duress or Doomfalls, I didn't really think I needed it with the cards already so great. So, you know, just having every spell get cast when I want it to kind of push that over the top for just mono red.
And
go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, all right. Yeah, so let's say you can't play Red next tournament and all you want to do is beat a Red deck. What are you going to bring to the table next week?
I think you could definitely tune a green-black deck to have a good matchup against Red. You've got a lot of tools that are really phenomenal. Like against my version of Red, Walking Ballista can just, you know, be crippling. You've also have like the combination of Aethersphere Harvester and Virtuous Gearhulk can just put the game out of reach. And then sometimes you just don't kill a Winding Constrictor on turn 2, and that just runs away with the game. So it might not be. It's a tough deck to have be good against red and blue-white control, another kind of pillar of the format. But I think Snake has the tools if he can kind of guess the metagame right to have a big edge.
So is that the deck you're looking to play against, hopefully the least at this tournament?
I think so. Yeah, it's one of those. Sometimes red mirrors can be scary. It's kind of like who has reds first, who has the last Hazoret standing, things like that. But yeah, black-green can definitely be a nightmare. So I'd like to avoid that if possible.
Well, Wyatt Darby, congratulations, starting out undefeated with those mountains. Good luck to you the rest of the day.
All right, thank you, Maria.
I mean, yeah, why put any other lands in your deck when you just have got the best creatures? Why sacrifice consistency? Your creatures are great.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point from Wyatt. Like, being able to just not worry about having any tap lands in your deck like Cinder Barons or Canyon Slow, it's a really big advantage when you want to curve out with such powerful red 4-drops like Rekindling Phoenix and Chandra.
All right, well, we'll be back with more from round 5 after this. back to the booth. Marie Bartholdi and Andrew Brown just going over some M19 cards from that set. You were telling me some of the nicknames that they had.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. So there's a card, Isolate.
Yes, so Isolate is a 1-mana instant for 1 white mana.
Yep.
And it says, exile target permanent with converted mana cost 1.
And you call this routinely... Welcome. Hold on, I'll start it up.
Welcome to the coffee shop. What would you like? And then I would ask for 1 ISO latte, please.
Oh, my God. All right, we're going to time walk. It's like we're taking us here. All right, here we go. Gerard Fabiano versus Robert Graves.
Yeah, I know both of these players. They're both skilled at playing any sort of deck. I know Gerard personally likes control decks, and I've seen Robert play a ton of mid-range decks, aggro decks. His range is very wide.
All right, blue-black mid-range versus Esper Control.
Yeah, I believe Gerard actually played this at the Pro Tour. I think he had a pretty good finish, maybe 10-6 or 11-5. Both are very respectable records.
Moment of Craving is going to take care of this Champion of Wits.
And let's just make sure that Robert doesn't elect to draw equal to Champion of Wits his power, because then he would have to discard 2 cards.
Yes, that is true. Who do you like in this matchup, Andrew?
Pre-board, I definitely like Gerard, but post-board, I really like Robert because he gets to put in so many different permanent types that threaten Gerard's game plan, like Argwell's Bloodfast. You can play Planeswalkers, the Scarab God. There's so many different things that Gerard has to deal with, and probably the main positive of it is Gerard's he's only allowed to play 4 Vraska's Contempts, and that's just
he's only allowed. I love it.
He's only allowed to play 4, and they're really, really taxed in this matchup because so many of Robert's threats are recursive.
Gifted Etherborn was the play here for Robert Graves, and a Glimmer of Genius for Gerard, which is a card that I hasn't been took a nap for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those middle-of-the-road draw spells there where if you really want to have it, you can have it. It's probably best with Torrential Gearhulk.
Right.
Which I assume Gerard is playing 4 of.
Alrighty, scribes 1 to the top, 1 to the bottom.
We can actually look at their deck lists right now. Let me get these.
Gifted Etherborn chipping in for 2 here for Robert.
Yeah, so looking at Gerard's deck, he's actually pretty close to a tap-out deck. He has 3 copies of the Scarab God, 3 Teferi. He's not one of those traditional kind of never tap-out control decks. He's more of he's a hybrid. He does both.
Sure. Second Glimmer of Genius, end of turn there for Fabiano.
Yeah, another reason I like Gerard in pre-board matches is you can just see cards in Robert's hand like Ravenous Chupacabra, right? That's just not a card he wants in this matchup.
All right, so search for Azcanta Sticks for Fabiano. We had a cycle there, end of turn from Graves, swinging in once again for 2 with the Gifted Etherborn. But a Fatal Push will take care of that.
And speak of the devil, here's a 4-mana Grizzly Bear. But you got to take whatever you can get in these matchups. So and look, Gerard spent an entire card on the 4-mana 2/2.
That Chupacabra goes to bed hungry.
Yeah. Gerard also cycling so that he can flip his Azcanta as soon as possible.
Right now. There we go.
Definitely a hallmark of a strong player is I'll crack my Field of Ruin, I'll cast another spell on my upkeep so I can flip my Azcanta and kind of get that card advantage immediately.
Tried to play a Teferi there, was met with a negate from Graves.
That was awesome. Looking at Robert's deck list, he has 1 negate in his deck, so that was really punishing. And now he gets to kind of tap out for the Scarab God, or he's going to tap out for this Champion of Wits.
All right, so Champion of Wits coming on back from the graveyard.
Yeah, and it's just doing what it does best. Although Robert may have dead cards like Ravenous Chupacabra or Fatal Push, he can just use Champion of Wits to kind of cycle through that and get better cards.
Scarab God here for Gerard.
Yeah, this might be might put Robert in a bit of a spot here. He's kind of priced in to like having a Vraska's Contempt, but I did see that Gerard actually has a disallow in hand, so this could end badly for Robert.
All right, so the Scarab God sticking around for right now. Arguel's Bloodfast for Graves.
That's a very strong card in this matchup. I would be, if I were Gerard, I would be tempted to actually use my counterspell on it, but it looks like he did not. So, yeah, this Arguel's Bloodfast could run away with the game if Gerard isn't careful.
And, you know, we've seen more of these Bloodfast's main deck today than I think I might have ever seen.
Yeah.
Right, so his own copy of the Scarab God, cast by Graves.
The Ravenous Chupacabra?
Oh yes, the Ravenous Chupacabra coming back, zombie form.
Yep, and destroys the Scarab God, I believe, at end of turn. So the Scarab God trigger is going to happen at the end of Gerard's end step. I believe he's currently scrying because with the Scarab God's static ability, and the Ravenous Chupacabra is now a zombie horror beast.
I do not want to meet that in the street. Cast down here takes care of the eternalized Champion of Wits.
One thing Gerard can actually do is end step Scarab God trigger on the stack, bring back that Scarab God, and Legend Rule it away.
Oh, yeah.
To trigger it again if he really just wants to keep Robert out of options of anything to do. But, you know, with that disallow in hand, he can also accomplish the same thing.
All right, so Scarab God comes back to Robert's hand. Just a couple of lands, got a Fatal Push, and the Scarab God, which I don't think will be making it to the table. There's the disallow. And I think Graves has seen quite enough. Gerard Fabiano taking down that first game here in this match. Esper Control versus Blue-Black Midrange.
Yeah, but, you know, after sideboard, I really got to give Robert the advantage here because he has access to cards like Negate, Duress, just so many strong cards against the control decks.
The Bloodfast already in play, too, and here's Duress.
Exactly. And I think another key card in the matchup is Robert has 4 Glint Sleeve Siphoner in his sideboard.
Ooh.
So normally post-board, like the control deck wants to try and fight the blue-black mid-range deck by going like pound for pound and taking out its fatal pushes and cast downs. But a good strategy from the blue-black deck is to just put in Glint Sleeve Siphoner and kind of go under that and keep the card advantage going.
All right, Duress is going to take Teferi from Gerard.
Yeah, nearly a perfect sequence for Robert here. He gets to resolve his Bloodfast, Duress, draw another card with Bloodfast while also having up Negate and Essence Scatter. This is basically his dream scenario.
Here's a Doomfall. We're just going to take a look here.
Yeah, he even had the Negate and chose not to use it because he'd rather just draw a card with Arguel's Bloodfast, which I agree with.
All right, so the Negate hitting the bin for Robert Graves. Let's draw a card from the Bloodfast.
He really wants to find an untapped land. Wow.
There we go.
Nice.
Knight of Malice for Robert Graves. 2 of those in the board. And here is a Bloodfast from Fabiano, and Graves just going to activate his own, so it sticks.
That was a really nice draw from Robert as he drew a Jace's Defeat. Just one of the best cards in the matchup because it gets to cover Counter Wars, it gets to cover Torrential Gear Hulk, so it's basically almost disallow for 2 mana.
Fatal Push took care of the Knight of Malice. Bloodfast activations for days here for both players.
Both players pretty thirsty for blood. I don't blame them. This matchup is it is really defined by both players just wanting to draw as many cards as possible.
All right, there's a Ballista for 1. Two draws there for Fabiano off the Bloodfast. Wow.
Yeah.
How does this matchup play out when both people are just drawing their deck?
I don't exactly know, but I think in the end it favors Robert, given how his cards are just generally cheaper than Gerard's. Like, he has Duress, Negate, Jace's Defeat. He also has the Glinsky Siphoners. So I think in a long, protracted game, it's going to favor Robert. But I don't know. You never know. Gerard, looking at his sideboard, he has Gonti, Lord of Luxury. He has more Knight of Malice. So it's really anybody's game here.
All right, cycle here for Gerard. Back over to draw. Both players seemingly with all the tools they could ever possibly want in their hands.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Robert can activate 3 times, which would put him to 4 life, which would flip his Argwell's Bloodfast, but I don't think that's what he actually wants.
No.
He wants to be able to keep using it to draw cards and keep pace with Gerard.
All right, so here we go to move to put a counter on the Walking Ballista.
Slow and steady wins the race.
I guess. Ballista in for 2. Vraska's Contempt. Shoot you for 2.
Yeah, Robert drew a Champion of Wits there, which is a really important card in the matchup. It'll let him kind of discard the cards he doesn't want right now and also provide that later game threat if he wants to eternalize it. And plus, it does have 4 toughness, so when you sacrifice it with the Lost Temple of Alkalots, you gain 4 instead of 1.
Knight of Malice, another Bloodfast. There for Graves.
Yeah, and looking at Graves' sideboard, he actually has no Argwell's Bloodfast in there. He has 2 in the main deck, so he drew both of them this game.
And there is a search for Fabiano.
Very nice looking searcher as Kanto.
Absolutely. Draw a card. You know what's interesting is that it's kind of surprising to me it took this long for people to put a card into their deck that said pay 2 life, draw a card.
Yeah, you wouldn't really think of it with cards like Goblin Chain Whirler, like kind of defining the format, but a lot of these post-board games just come down to who plays the most 4-mana haymakers. And, Bloodfast really plays into that game because early on you can just draw a bunch of cards and then later in the game you can actually stabilize yourself.
Okay, so Knight of Malice joins the team for Robert Graves, Gerard Fabiano down to 5. Currently up a game. But by the way, these life totals almost entirely self-inflicted, coming down from 20.
Yeah, I think this game is going to really come down to who draws a hand disruption spell first, because just the information of like what counter spells or what do I have to play around is really key here. And Gerard really embracing the themes of Ixalan has 2 flipped lands.
All right.
As Kanta the Sunken Ruin and the Lost Temple of Alkalots.
So Lost Temple, I can't even remember.
Or is it just Temple?
Maybe it's just a temple, and we're thinking of the Lost
It is
City.
just the Temple of
Aklazats.
Aklazats. Gotcha.
Obviously taps to add black, but you can tap it and sacrifice a creature. You gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness.
Right. I will make the excuse that it had a different name in playtesting. When that is false.
That is handy.
That is false, though. Yeah, I definitely like Robert's situation here.
Ooh, there we go.
Here's the duress. This is going to be the defining moment where he gets to like figure out what he needs to do.
There's a sensor cycled for Fabiano.
So here's the really interesting part is like, do you actually start fighting over the hand disruption spell?
All right, Moment of Craving takes down the Knight of Malice. Do you think that he should?
I can't really look at each player's hand, plus there are so many cards in both of their hands, it's really tough to tell.
All right, so we've got a couple of Scarab Gods and a Gonti, as well as a Disallow, another Search in hand for Fabiano.
Yeah, I really like Robert's situation here because he now knows that the way is totally clear, and he himself has more counterspells in hand. Like I saw he had the Essence Scatter, he has a Jace's Defeat, and now the Scarab God uncontested.
Yeah, things looking really good for Robert here.
Yeah, and he has 2 counterspells lined up too, and his mana just worked out perfectly because he paid 1 for the Duress, 5 for the Scarab God, and he still has 4 remaining to cast 2 counterspells.
There is a Contempt here from Fabiano on the Scarab God.
So it's funny, Robert doesn't have a counterspell for that. He has Jace's Defeat and Essence Scatter, which cover both of the Scarab Gods in his hand, in Gerard's hand.
All right, so the Scarab God is going to go away here for Robert Graves. Back over to Gerard Fabiano.
Another line Robert could take here is actually to use his Argwell's Bloodfast to go below to flip it.
Essence Scatter will take care of the Scarab God number 1 from Fabiano. How about a Gonti? That is good. Ooh, we can kind of take a peek.
Oh wow, he's got the World's Fair under there.
Did he take a gear?
I think he took a Torrential Gearhulk.
Nice. Okay, so Gonti, Lord of Luxury, guarding a Torrential Gearhulk.
Robert now going to flip his Temple, or flip his Bloodfast into the Temple. And Gerard doesn't have that much mana, so this Scarab God can pretty much go uncontested and activate once.
All right, there's the Scarab God, like you said.
Another cool thing about the Temple of, how do you say it?
Aclazotz.
Aclazotz. You know, if Gerard uses his Torrential Gearhulk to flash back a Vraska's Contempt, Robert can actually sacrifice it and then gain life and put the Scarab God delayed trigger on the stack so he can get it back and it's not exiled. So there's definitely a ton of things going on here. We got dueling temples, Gerard has an Azcanta, and they both have a bunch of counterspells in hand.
Control mages, here you go.
How do you think you would do in this particular match, Maria?
I would just flip the table, walk away. No, thank you.
Would you sign the match slip at least?
Okay, I'll sign the match slip.
All right.
After I win. Just kidding. The decks I play are probably not very good against these two.
I believe you'd get irreparable board state for flipping the table, which is a game loss.
Probably more than that. Scarab God. Here it's going to get Jace's defeated from Robert Graves.
Yeah, and I know we didn't see any more counterspells from Gerard.
Actually, Kenji was playing blue-black midrange at Grand Prix Seattle when I was playing my SRAM deck, and I played against him a couple of times. And it actually wasn't the worst matchup known to man for me, which I thought it would definitely be.
Really?
But its best matchup was green-black snake.
Just because you could, they couldn't best your boggle?
Yeah.
So it looks like, I think Robert's going to activate during his upkeep. Ooh, a gigantic Knight of Malice. That's pretty good.
I like it.
And it'll be interesting to see when Gerard uses this Torrential Gearhulk underneath his Gonti. I think they're just discussing when Robert would do this. And I'm assuming it would be with the Scarab God trigger on the stack.
There's the Gearhulk out from under Gonti.
Yeah, and I think this Gearhulk will actually... Okay. Killing the Scarab God. Or attempting to exile the Scarab God. but it looks like we're just going to get another Scarab God. And like that play I talked about earlier, he's going to legend rule his own Scarab God.
I love it.
And now that the Scarab God is now a zombie god, he triggers off himself.
Beautiful.
Oh wow, Field of Ruin, a pretty strong draw here from Robert, because it lets him just either destroy the Azcanta or the Temple. If I was in Robert's spot, I'd be doing the same thing, stroking my hair repeatedly and thinking of what to do.
Fabiano down to 5, Graves down to 4.
And I'll remind everybody, most of this damage self-inflicted through Arkwell's Bloodfast.
Yes. Your life total is most definitely a resource with both of these decks and in this match particularly. Scarab God from Fabiano.
Yeah, it's definitely the Scarab God party going on right now.
Saw Vraska's Contempt in hand for Graves.
Yeah, I think what Graves wants most is for that Torrential Gearhulk to die so he can reanimate it with the Scarab God.
Ah. All right, so here it comes.
Yeah, kind of like a double block here.
Yep, that looks like that's what he did.
And now comes the weird game of chicken with 2 Scarab Gods in play.
Right. All right, so how about Champion of Wits here?
Yeah, so what happens when there are 2 Scarab Gods out is you can activate one and put its ability on the stack, but then your opponent can do the same thing and put that over it so that their effect will resolve first.
Okay, so Fabiano lets Graves have this Champion of Wits, draws some cards. How do you navigate a situation like that?
Yeah, these games are really tough. I think actually Robert's best way to victory is just to ride the Scarab God's static ability and just kind of drain Gerard. And this Spyglass is going to do a lot of work because he's just going to name the Scarab God and most likely just take it down with the activation.
All right, he reveals that search for Azcanta.
Or he's actually naming the Temple of Aklazats to prevent Gerard from gaining any life. Then he goes through a Vraska's Contempt on the Scarab God, which I think will now initiate some form of Scarab God chicken.
Scarab God chicken sounds like something terrible.
Chicken in the sense that who's going to activate it first, not chicken as the edible poultry.
I was imagining it as like a creation by the Simic.
Well, as you know, the Simic are in Ravnica.
Yes.
And we're going to Ravnica very soon.
I'm stoked.
Me too. Well, I'm stoked for you to see it because it's all done and it's great.
Yeah, you told me it was awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So, here we sit.
Yeah.
It's just absurd. Here's Teferi.
Yeah, I think Teferi has to... What is he doing with the Teferi? Oh, he plussed it, and then he activated his Azcanta. And I believe he'll try and... Okay, that's pretty much the answer he wanted.
Vraska's Contempt. Into hand for Fabiano.
He still has the activation. Yeah, the Teferi triggered ability is still on the going to go on the stack, so Gerard will have 2 untapped mana at the end of this.
Okay, so Contempt takes down the Scarab God.
And it looks like if Robert just removes this Gonti, he'll be able to win the game. He drew 2 lands off there. Continues to cycle, doesn't find anything.
Wow.
This is crazy.
All right, an attack.
Yeah, Gerard is kind of forced to trade here and go down to 1.
Field of Ruin.
That was a good play. Getting that Azcanta out of the way, because one of my favorite plays to do is actually use Teferi to draw a card, then you use your Azcanta, and then untap your Azcanta again.
Nice.
A lot of card advantage there.
Fabiano down to 1 life here. Glimmer of Genius.
And I believe the remaining card in Robert's hand is Island Essence Scatter. So Fabiano's outs don't include a creature right now. Vraska's Contempt is pretty much everything he wants.
Right.
Really crazy game here. Oh, Gerard left 1 on top. That means probably found in Contempt. Or another Teferi.
Why not replace itself? We'll tuck that Champion of Wits.
And it looks like he probably has a Fatal Push in his hand. That might have been a second land.
But there's the Fatal Push.
Yeah, and it looks like Gerard would be able to run away with the game now. That since, Robert was in such a good position. Now he's got almost nothing in his hand.
Yeah, just 2 lands left in hand for Graves. Search for Fabiano.
Liliana.
Okay.
Good start.
Disallow. Cycle. All right, we're going to flip. Wow, did Fabiano just stabilize at 1 life to see if...
Yeah, I think he did. He definitely came back from the brink here, and he's like counting his library to make sure that he'll be able to win in time. Because actually, he might be out of win conditions.
Oh, there's Gonti.
Yeah, I guess Gonti counts. Yeah, this is moving really fast. Hard to really keep track of what's going on here. And
Yep.
I believe Graves just used a Field of Ruin, and I believe Gerard is going to fail to find to keep it. Nope, he's going to not fail to find. But he could have failed to find to keep more cards in his library.
Yeah, all right, now here we go. Here's the look from Gonti.
Oh, I see a Vraska's Contempt there. I think that'll be the card there, because any sort of life padding Gerard can get, he'll take.
These libraries have to be getting pretty thin.
Yeah, definitely.
It was another Gonti.
It was another Gonti. It was me, Gonti, the whole time.
All right, so it looks like Gonti's going to steal a Glint Sleeve Siphoner this time around.
Yeah, and that provides power on the board.
Woohoo! I have 2 creatures.
Yeah, Gerard just needs to make sure not to use the Glint Sleeve Siphoner.
What if you're just so used to activating it? Whoops. All right,
And,
there's Scarab God.
There's
from
a
Graves.
Scarab God. I know Graves has a Walking Ballista in his graveyard too.
Ooh.
So I think that might be what he wants here. Although this Teferi still can actually tuck something. Yeah, definitely just one of those crazy long games. Both players' libraries are super thin, and each decision is so crucial at this point.
This game has been, these players have just been able to just slog through it here. It's been quite a fight.
Yeah, so we see an activation of the Scarab God, getting the Scarab God.
Once again, a zombie Scarab God.
Yes.
All right, so Gonti and Glintsleeve Siphoner getting in, dropping Graves down to 2.
Yeah, and Gerard has that Vraska's Contempt, which he'll most likely use.
There is a Field of Ruin, probably the last land in the deck.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah, Gerard debating on whether to...
Yep, there's the Vraska's Contempt. We're going to bring back another Scarab God.
And then he'll Legend to rule away the Scarab God. And then Moment of Craving on the Scarab God. Robert, I'm sure he has that Walking Ballista, right?
I thought he did.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's just going to get the Scarab God and then trigger it again. And then that's the game.
No way. Robert Graves tying things up here at 1 game apiece with Gerard Fabiano.
Wow, that was an exhausting match. And they still have to play one more.
Oh boy.
I would imagine time is getting really low here.
Yes, I would definitely think time is of the essence for these players.
Yeah, and in one of these shorter games, I actually like Robert as well because he has those Glintsleeve Siphoners, he has the Knights of Malice and Glory. It may just be Gerard's plan to just kind of like stall the game as much as possible and just go for a draw. Yeah, this Glintsleeve Siphoner really represents a huge danger to Gerard here. And his hand is like lands, 5 drops, and a disallow, I believe.
All right, another duress here from Robert Graves. There's the disallow, going to stop that. Knight of Malice hits the table, number 2, first one.
So, yeah, Gerard has Teferi and the Scarab God in his hand, but he drew a tapped land.
No!
Yeah, this is going to let Robert snowball a little bit with his Glintsleeve Siphoner.
And there's the Bloodfast for Robert Graves.
But this does allow Gerard to resolve a great threat here.
Look at that shuffling.
Yeah. Oh, we have a Grind to Dust. Wow. That's awesome.
All right, Knight of Malice chipping in continually for Robert Graves. Liliana.
Oh, nice. Liliana. Getting back that Glintsleeve Siphoner, more energy, more cards.
Teferi for Fabiano.
Yeah, this definitely looks to favor Robert here as he can this Liliana can just keep going. And this was apparently turn 4 of turns. So
that's what that 4 symbolizes down there in the corner. Scarab God for Fabiano, and it looks like this game is going to end in a draw.
Yep. And this is a draw.
There's the handshake, and I mean, sometimes that's what happens when you have 2 of these kinds of more controlling strategies.
Yeah, definitely.
Andrew's just like, oh, that was a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching intently, and whew, I commend both players for playing so well.
All right, well, we have more Magic from round 6 coming at you just a second.